and welcome to My Career in Data, a podcast where we discuss with industry leaders and experts how they have built their careers. I'm your host, Shannon Kemp, and today we're talking to Erin Woodward from Cyclotron.
With a robust catalog of courses offered on demand and industry-leading live online sessions throughout the year, the DATAVERSITY Training Center is your launchpad for career success. Browse the complete catalog at training.dataversity.net and use code DVTalks for 20% off your purchase.
Hello and welcome. My name is Shannon Kemp and I'm the Chief Digital Officer at DATAVERSITY, and this is My Career in Data, a DATAVERSITY Talks podcast dedicated to learning from those who have careers in data management, to understand how they got there and to talk with people who help make those careers a little bit easier. To keep up to date in the latest in data management education, go to dataversity.net/subscribe. Today, we are joined by Erin Woodward, Director of Data and Analytics at Cyclotron. And normally, this is where a podcast host would read a short bio of the guest, but in this podcast, your bio is what we're here to talk about. Erin, hello and welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad that you're here and we get to hear your story. So you are the Director of Data and Analytics at Cyclotron. So tell me, for those who may not know, what type of business is Cyclotron?
To summarize, Cyclotron is a consulting firm. They are a Microsoft partner. And so what Cyclotron focuses on is enabling companies of all sizes with the latest and greatest technology, whether it's modern work, enabling Copilot, or my favorite topic, data modernization, and unified data platforms.
Very, very cool. I do love Copilot, I gotta say. So much fun to play with.
We all need a solid Copilot.
Right? That should be their new marketing phrase.
Microsoft should just hire us right now.
Right now. As the Director of Data and Analytics, what is it you do?
So many things, actually. Anybody who's been a consultant knows that you always have to wear multiple hats. So in my role, I handle the whole customer life cycle, from the initial engagement, introductions, understanding what problem they're trying to solve, and then designing the solution to solve that problem. And then on the other side, once the client has said, yes, we love everything that you're saying, I will then take that strategy, make it tactical steps, and ensure that me and my data team deliver that solution to the client. So some PowerPoint, some pre-sales, a whole lot of programming, SQL, data visualizations, engineering, the whole realm of it all.
I love it. Very cool. What is the most common problem that you're working with your customers?
I'm going to bring up the two letters that everybody talks about today is AI.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody wants AI. AI is the hot topic now, but not everybody understands what AI is, how to apply it, and then what you need for good AI. And the foundation for good AI is good data. You need your data all together. You need it high quality. You need to make sure the right people have the right access to that data so your AI can use it efficiently.
I love it. And not surprised.
Yeah. It started, AI has been around for a really, really long time. A lot of people don't realize that. Like, AI actually started back in the 80s, right? With the old-fashioned machine learning models and everything. And then it really just got its heyday over the last few years. So really, it feels like it's everywhere now, but we're still in the infant stages of AI, right? We're just now pulling back the pieces to understand what's going on. But one of the things we're seeing a lot is everybody who was an early adopter, who just, when AI hit, 5 or so years ago, just threw stuff out there, but had no idea what was going on. Well, now they're coming back and they're like, wait a minute, Why is this sensitive information getting leaked out in my chatbot? Why do all these people have access to this stuff? So a lot of what kind of we're doing is, I don't want to say retrofitting, but we're working with the clients to kind of rope that back in and put those security and the guardrails in place to make sure that, we're mitigating their risk, but we're also ensuring that going forward, as they build out a more robust AI strategy, all of those guardrails are in place.
So would you say then you're helping them implement some AI governance?
Absolutely. So AI governance, data governance, all of that they're all the same principle, right? Where's your data? Who has access to it? Where does it come from? Where is it going? How is it being used? Right? So bringing awareness to that and bringing an understanding of that, and then putting a really solid data governance program will be seamless to the end user, right? They won't feel restricted. It will support and enable them to do their job, but not limit them or make it more difficult for them to do their job. So you don't want them to see all the stuff going on in the back end. And that's how we try to build. We try to build our solutions and work with our clients for build for governance. So it's there, because it's definitely easier to build for it than go back and add it later.
How are you working with data in your job? I mean, aside from working with your customer data, how are you working with data?
So when it comes to actual hands-on keyboard, I've been working with data for longer than I'm going to admit, although I think we'll probably end up coaxing that out of me later. I actually love architecting the data solutions. So understanding where the client is and the solution, designing how the data is going to look, and how it needs to be shaped to fulfill that goal, and then doing the data engineering to meet those needs. I was a developer for a really long time, and there's a certain amount of satisfaction that comes when you have a whole pipeline run as planned, and your errors flag is planned, and your data visualization pops up and renders, and you see those insights that the client has been after, right? So I still like doing that, and I'm fortunate where I am is that I'm doing a little bit of hands-on keyboard stuff, right? I'm setting up those ingestion pipelines. I'm getting that data together. I'm setting those policies. Hey, if there's an error in this column, how do you want to handle it? And then it's very satisfying at the end when you see that pop up, and all of a sudden they realize all of these insights and all of this business knowledge is there and understandable now because of these things that you've done.
I love that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about how that became a passion of yours. Let's back it up.
Okay.
And dive into it. So tell me, Erin.
Sure.
When you were, say, 6 years old, was this the dream? Did you say, I'm going to grow up and be a director of data and analytics at a consulting company?
Oh, no, not at all.
What was the dream at 6?
So when I was 6, I'm pretty sure that I wanted to be an astronaut.
Oh, love it. Yeah.
I had an aunt that lived down in Georgia, so she would send me stuff from space camp all the time. I was a child of the 80s, so I saw the movie Space Camp, and I'm like, this is going to be me. There's no way that I'm not going to be an astronaut. And then, reality sets in, and you realize that you live smack in the middle of the country, and there's not a whole lot of opportunities for that. So beyond that, I was always good at math. I never gave it any kind of thought, but numbers always just worked well in my head. And then I love puzzles. I love figuring out solutions. I love understanding how things work. So those things have always been with me since before I can remember. My parents never let me take anything apart to understand how it worked, which is probably smart of them. But as an adult, there's more than one thing that I've taken apart just to see the inside and just how it worked. So fast forward to college. I have no idea what I want to do. I'm totally lost. I'm at the end of my second year and my advisor pulls me aside and says, you have to figure out a major. You can't do anything else. You've done all of your gen ed stuff. You've got to pick a major. And I'm like, suggestions, options, right? What can we do? And they're like, well, because this is back in the 90s. And he tells me computers are becoming a thing. If you go with computer science, you'll probably have some pretty good career opportunities. And I was like, okay, cool. So it was a whole lot of math and logic and algorithms. And I'm like, all of that stuff already makes sense in my head because I love figuring out the patterns and everything. So that got me on my way.
Oh, I love that. So it wasn't, so you kind of stumbled into it, but it was a passion that helped you stumble there.
Yeah, I feel bad saying I thought it would be easy because the stuff already worked in my brain, right? But I thought that, hey, all this stuff works. So these classes should be fairly easy. Oh, there's nothing easy about what I do these days, right? Oh, could I go talk to the younger me? But it's turned out to be really, really, really valuable. I've loved every bit of my career so far.
Tell me, so then what's the first job out of college? Where did you start?
So I really got lucky. I'm not going to name any of the names of any of the places that I've worked, but I'll give you generalizations, right? So the intelligent person will figure this out. My college job was working in a call center for a home security service. So when I was like a junior and senior, I was going to school during the day and working in the evenings. And as part of the final year of my degree, I needed an internship. And this home security service happened to have an opening for a programmer internally. So I went ahead and applied for it and I got it. And I made sure, hey, since I'm working on this now, can this just double as my internship? Boss agreed, I'll sign the paper every week that you were here working, because obviously it was my job then. Professor said, that's fine. If this is what you're doing for your job, I'll take it as an internship. So that's how I landed my first programming gig. There were 4 of us. It was there in one office that was probably a 15 by 15 office. We had 4 programmers, 3 servers, and like 16 monitors. It was like the hottest office ever.
Sure.
But we had a great time. The 4 of us were together there for probably 7 years. We learned a lot. We did a lot of good work because it was before the advent of like Googling heavy and everything. Everything that we had to learn or figure out was from books. So we had our own little library in there to go look stuff up if we couldn't figure out anything. Everything software was installed via disks. So if for some reason something went wrong with your laptop and you had to reinstall something, you were down for 2 days, 1 day to uninstall, 1 day to reinstall. The laptops were the size of cars back then and made noises like airplanes taking off. So you could always tell when somebody was having a problem because you just hear the rumble. But yeah, it was a good time. It was a good learning. I don't want to say we all grew up together, but we all figured things out together, and it was a lot of fun.
That's you're giving me a lot of flashbacks of my own experiences.
I think we all have that first team where it's like your first really big gig in your professional career, and you're like figuring things out. You're learning how to be a professional. You're learning the suit and tie part of work, if I may. So that was good, and I was there for a very long time. And then from there, I've moved around, and it's been really good. When I got laid off from there in 2009, and I was devastated. Right, it was the bad economy. Everybody was getting laid off. I don't blame anybody, but it was devastating. Right, it's the first time I've ever been laid off. I'm like, what do I do? Do my skills exist outside of this environment? But it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. And I know that's weird, but it was such an amazing growing experience. And I learned so much about myself. I've had so many opportunities since then, right? The next gig I landed kind of pushed me more towards like .NET programming, C#, Visual Basic, which I already had a foundation on. So a little bit of data, a little bit of that kind of meshed together. So I was there for a while and got really good at that. And then when I moved to like a research marketing firm where I specialized in ETL, extract, transform, load. So I got really, really good at understanding all of the different ways data lives, all of the different ways I can bring it in and clean it and shape it, right? And all the solid modeling principles that are still around today, right? The technology and the tools that I used way back then aren't, but the foundations. So I really got really good at understanding those principles. And then from there, I went into a different company that was actually my first consulting gig. And there was a lot of the engineering part of everything, a lot of scoping, a lot of understanding star schemas and foreign keys and all of that kind of stuff that, again, still exists today. The tools don't, but that stuff does. So my biggest fear when I got laid off was, am I ever going to be able to stay at another job again? And moving around and exploring opportunities and pushing myself in different directions is kind of facing my biggest fear, but realizing it's been one of my biggest assets because I've had so many new opportunities. I've learned so much. And all of that experience of specializing in the modeling, specializing in the ETL, specializing in the business intelligence beyond just reporting business intelligence has really brought me to where I am today, to be able to put all of that together, work with our clients to say, this is what's going to work. And I'm confident I know that's going to work because I've experienced it. But because I've actually done the development too, I can scope something realistically so it doesn't upset the developers. But then I can take those steps and I can make them tactical development steps that I can translate to a data engineer, a Power BI engineer, and they can go and execute that plan.
Visit dataversity.net and expand your knowledge with thousands of articles and blogs written by industry experts, plus free live and on-demand webinars covering the complete data management spectrum. While you're there, subscribe to the weekly newsletter so you'll never miss a beat.
Very, very nice. So now you're really into the weeds with data.
I am, yeah. And data is growing. I mean, there's no shortage of data. For a long time, data was overlooked and it was just the Excel spreadsheets, right? And that everybody, they still white knuckle cling to. People are not giving up their Excel no matter what, right? But for a long time, data was just what was in Excel, what was in your Access database, these tables, these rows and columns. And today, data has changed so much. So in the data world, there's always the V's, the volume, the velocity, the variety, whatever that we always talk about. And they say, and it depends on what article you read, most companies are only actually ingesting and using like 15% of the data that they actually have. Because if you think about it, most companies have two goals. They want to make money or save money, and that's it. So everything they do, especially with their initiatives, is how is this going to make me money or save money? Well, let's look at what you have to help you make those decisions and go down that best path. And it used to be just, here's my accounting spreadsheet, here's my sales, here's my margins, all of that boring stuff. But now you've got, we can parse images to gather data and analytics on that. We can, put together, parse some emails, which is considered semi-structured data, understand sentiment, get call recordings and group all of that together to get a more holistic view of what's going on with your company, what's going on with your data, and then what decisions can we make so you can put everything together and make smarter business decisions. That's the difference between reporting and business intelligence. Reporting is just going to tell you the what's going on. The business intelligence is going to tell you the why. And then if you want to get into predictive, what can I do to make it better? And that's one of the things that I've been really excited throughout the course of this career to see everything transform. Data is finally getting its heyday. When everybody a few years ago started saying data is the new gold, I'm like, yes, finally. I've been saying this forever. It's been challenging because when I'm not just pulling in stuff from tables with rows and columns, there's a variety of like a JSON file, which is semi-structured. There's ASP files, there's complete unstructured data. There's all kinds of different things to bring in, to figure out, link together, and then put together actionable steps on what can we do with this to add value to our business. So I would definitely say it's way back 25 years ago when I told, 20-year-old Erin, oh, this is going to be easy. No. You got to love learning because you got to always push the edge of your brain for what you know, because every day there's something new, there's something different, there's a new facet to consider.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We talk a lot about that on the podcast too, that curiosity and having to constantly self-teach and self-learn and just wanting to learn more. Because
I'm sorry. I'm a problem solver. Like I love puzzles. I love figuring things out. And if I could, I would be a student for life because I love learning new things. When I'm coaching my team and working with my team, I always tell them you need to have balance, right? So you can't be all technology all the time. This particular career can be all encompassing because it's so much to do in your normal 8 to 5, but then also to keep up on to make sure you're staying up on technology, especially consulting, because consulting is supposed to be on the leading edge of everything. And our clients come to us because, hey, we heard about this new thing, we want to do it, and we're supposed to already know about it. So I tell everybody, you got to have balance. You've got to be able to step away from the digital world. And I absolutely do that, learning just a bunch of just random stuff. So this has fit really well into my brain because every day I'm learning new stuff with the technology, with the data, with the tools. But then outside, when I'm quote unquote relaxing, I'm working on my Egyptian hieroglyphs, right?
Ooh.
Or I know that's the one I'm into now.
Nice.
So I did just for fun, a course on molecular biology earlier in the fall, just, for that balance to get my brain off of the digital age.
Well, do you find though, even in molecular biology, that you learn things that you apply to your current role?
Yeah, I think that, an important thing that I've learned throughout my life is everything's always relatable and you can find patterns. And that's part of, I love finding patterns and things too. So as you look at how the science and technology go hand in hand, but, I'm a very visual person. So when I see stuff or I'm learning stuff, I'm always visualizing it in my head. So when I'm understanding, water molecules and how the oxygen and the hydrogen bonds work, and then if another molecule floats by, depending on the charge, how they'll steal, that I'm doing data mapping and doing it to data flows and combinations of, how does this table going to go with this table, and how do I morph this varchar into a text with a different ASCII code. So that kind of stuff is always going.
I love that. And I'm right there with you. I started visualizing all the things. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm right there. Yeah. So tell me, what has been your biggest lesson so far in your career?
Oh, okay. So I have a lot. So maybe I'm not gonna limit this to just one, but don't be afraid to try new things. Um, One of my favorite bosses in the world gave me some great advice and said, fail fast. If you want to go try something new, go do it, give it everything. And if you're going to fail, fail fast. And then go ask for help on how to make it right. There's nothing wrong with trying something and having it not be successful because you tried it, right? Nobody's going to be 100% successful at everything. So go try a bunch of new things, see what you like, see what you don't like. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but at least you know, right? I tried being a Visual Basic programmer, a C#.NET programmer, didn't work out. I was just awful at it. It was just a struggle the whole time. And so I'm like, nope, this is not something that I want to do, right? I tried specializing in data visualization. I love data visualization. It's probably where my heart is because I love making things pretty. An artist I am not. So there are people that are a lot better at data visualization than me because I see patterns, because I like to understand how things go together. The data engineering was my sweet spot because I can do that. I can see how that data goes and put it together, but I wouldn't have known that had I not gone and tried all of this other stuff.
You still get to create some visualizations there with your model.
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
I call it training, right? To keep up with all of the new stuff that's coming on. But I do a lot of internal reporting as well. So I take a lot of creative liberties when I do internal analytics. I'm like, here's some cool stuff that you didn't ask for. Yeah. Another thing that I would caution people to is, so there are some opportunities and there are some jobs that you're going to have that you're going to struggle with because not every company is perfect, right? And one thing that it took me a long time to realize is it's not always me. Sometimes it's just not a good fit. And I wish somebody had told me that when I was younger at some of the places that I worked where I was like, man, I just can't find the groove. I just can't mesh with this team. I just can't get, and I always thought that there was something wrong with me. But if you know you're doing well, if you know your stuff and it's still a struggle, then it's probably not you. It could be that this just isn't a good fit for your skills, for your personality. So definitely go where you're valued and where it doesn't feel like an uphill climb every day.
Yeah, that's a really good lesson, and one that is hard to learn early on, I think, but and one that a lot of people struggle with, because you're dealing with humans. That's the hardest part, right?
It is. And then especially, and I don't know if this is true for everybody, but for the majority of my career, I've been the only female on my programming teams. I got really lucky where I had a whole team of female people, but for the most, they were amazing. I loved all of them, but for the most part, I've been the minority. And so there's probably a little bit of extra insecurity that came with that from trying to prove myself. But one of the other important things I learned is I never tried to be the best female programmer in the room. I tried to be the best programmer in the room. And the distinction there is that the onus is on me and I have to be the best. And it's me pushing myself to be the best. And there's no there's no excuse. There's no, oh, it's somebody else's fault. I have the power to be as good as I can be. And I push myself to be as good because I'm going to be the best person in that room.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And some great advice, additional great advice, and a really good lesson to give others, I think. But we'll come back to that. So tell me, Erin, you've worked with data for a while. What is your definition of data?
So my definition of data is any input that you use for decisions. So you can't just narrow it down to data on a spreadsheet or, what's going on in email or anything like that, right? You have to understand the inputs coming in and how you're going to use it. And an analogy I like to make is with what we do, we are turning data into information, because data is just, it's data, it's facts, it's there. But by combining it, visualizing it, architecting it, and giving people the ability to consume it, then we're taking that data and it becomes information. It becomes useful items, bits, blobs, whatever that people can read and make decisions off of. So data is anything that I can use to make better decisions.
Very good definition. And tell me, do you see the importance of data management and the number of jobs working with data increasing or decreasing over the next 10 years, and why?
It's only going to skyrocket. And because there's more and more data coming in, and there's a bigger variety of data coming in, and the velocity that data is coming in is increasing. When I started, real time was a pie in the sky NASA researcher thing, right? And every day now I'm talking to my clients about how we can get real time or near real time data into their systems, right? So a way, that people aren't going to all of a sudden be like, you know what? I've had this every 15 minutes. I'm okay with going back to once a week. I feel like the world isn't going to work that way. So you're going to need the more data that comes in and the more types of data that come in, you're going to need more people to manage, govern, engineer, and keep an eye on that data. It's not going away. AI is going to help take some of the workload, but AI is really in our environment and the way at least I envision AI. It helps increase your productivity and makes you more efficient, but it's not necessarily going to replace humans. So one person can't know everything. So if you have 15 different kinds of data, one person is not going to be the best to effectively manage all of those different kinds. So you're going to need specialists to manage your data. You're going to need specialists to engineer your data, govern your data. You're going to need people to manage all your AI bots, right? People have hundreds of AI and agentic agents running around. Do you have any idea what's going on with them? Do you know if people are building duplicates? Do you know who's using them? Data management jobs are not going away at all.
I absolutely agree. So what advice would you give then to people looking to get into a career in data management?
First, I would say, why? Seriously, do you know the stress that we're under? So I would say make sure this is what you want, because it's a commitment. It's not easy. It's not one of those things that you get into it, you get your first job and you're going to coast. You always have to learn new stuff. It's always going to be challenging. You're going to have to be really good at pivoting and troubleshooting and going with the flow. So if you want a career where you're going to be challenged, where it's very dynamic, where you're constantly pushing yourself to learn new stuff, this is for you. And then I would say just get started. Just pick something. If you want to do it on your own, do it on your own. Download your financial statements or go out to your favorite AI and get some mock data, and start doing this on your own. All of the big providers have free stuff to learn, to use, to sample with, and start building those skills whenever you want. You can do it on nights and weekends, which is when I do most of my training, right? And just get started and just start understanding those principles, and you'll get there. You'll start talking to data, you'll start showing up at networking, and then all of a sudden you'll understand what people are saying, and those connections will be there, and it'll flow.
Yeah, I love that you ask why, because it's true that the data practitioners that I talk to, it's their passion. They do love it, because like you say, it is, and they do turn it into very advanced careers, and they're constantly learning and constantly challenging themselves, as you say. This isn't a kickback and 40-hour work week. go
Oh,
home.
yeah, no. And one of the things because I have to interview a lot of people and have in my time,
Yeah.
one of the things that I look for is attitude and passion. I can train technical. Technical is just a series of button clicks
Yeah.
that are very similar. Like if I'm building an ETL process, there's 3 major ETL tools that I can think of right now. I am fluent in all 3 of them because once you know the principle, it's just understanding the button clicks. So I can train technical. I can't train attitude. I can't train passion. I can't train the desire to learn and challenge yourself and push yourself to do better. So if I can get that from somebody, then if their shortcoming is a little bit technical, then I can train you on that. And I'm not worried about it.
I love that. And so Erin, I would be remiss if I didn't ask, if somebody wanted to learn more about Cyclotron, where would they go?
We have a very nice website at cyclotron.com if you would like to learn more. Also, all over LinkedIn. More than welcome to find me on LinkedIn, and I'll talk to you all about it as well. And then, like most consulting companies, I think that they have a YouTube channel, but really put that in pencil because I haven't gone out searching for their YouTube channel yet. I'm making that assumption.
I love it. Well, we will get those links added to the podcast page. Erin, it has been such a pleasure chatting with you today.
Thank you. This has been a lot of fun.
It's been a lot of fun. And for all of our listeners out there, if you'd like to keep up to date in the latest in podcasts and in the latest in data management education, you can go to dataversity.net/subscribe. Until next time, stay curious, everyone. Thank you for listening to DATAVERSITY Talks, a podcast brought to you by DATAVERSITY. Subscribe to our newsletter for podcast updates and information about our free educational webinars at dataversity.net/subscribe.